Welcome back to All Abilities Homestead. I thought it would be a good time to revisit my carnivore journey since it's now been over 30 days. And while I don't have the ability to get on a scale and tell you that I've lost weight or how much weight or anything along those lines, I didn't take measurements before I began, so I can't even tell you that I lost inches. What I can tell you, um, and I should probably back up and give you a little bit of history. I have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I've had it since I was 11 years old. So I've had about 40, almost 49 years um, of living with it, of the ups and the downs, the remissions and the flare ups. And I've gotten pretty good at reading my body, of knowing when I'm getting ready to have a flare up. When I was in my 20s, I could pretty much count on 2 days before I was going to start my menstrual cycle, I would have a flare up and would be to the point of not really even being able to move or get out of bed. Once I started my menstrual cycle, then it was okay, and then I was up and moving around and doing okay. It was just that 2 days prior. So I really thought it was all hormone connected, and when I got pregnant, my body would go into remission throughout the pregnancy, and about 30 days after giving birth, the flare-ups would start again, so I figured that's about the amount of time it took for the pregnancy hormones to get out of my body. So it's kind of been noticing those cycles and that in my body for all of these years. As more and more people that I know became getting diagnosed with autoimmune diseases, which, if you don't know, an autoimmune disease is when your body attacks itself. Your immune system kind of goes on overload and it starts attacking healthy cells. Um, so then they give you medications that stop your immune system from working in order to stop it from attacking itself, which then makes you susceptible to other illnesses. The flu and colds and all of those things are just easier to catch. But as friends of mine started getting diagnosed with autoimmune diseases like Crohn's and Hashimoto's, um, I made comments many times in the last 20 years that I thought it was the garbage they were putting into our food, that I thought that it really had to do with what we were eating. And I said those things in passing, but I never really researched it or had facts to back it up. I just felt like they were pumping more and more hormones into all of our foods and the genetically modified. So it was just a thought that I had in the back of my head. Not that I was going to change my diet in order to remove those things, because, I mean, let's face it, I like mashed potatoes and I like eating out. I like a lot of the restaurants, the different foods that they had. I like bread, homemade bread. So I wasn't going to give up wheat or sourdough just because I thought there was something in there that was causing my arthritis. So then we move forward to, over the years, just slowly adding on weight. And, a lot of that I can say is because of the wheelchair and the lack of movement. Um, but I kept looking at ways to lose weight. And I considered the gastric banding surgeries and all of that. And I had a couple of friends who did it. And it was pretty miserable. Watching them and everything they went through was miserable. So I thought, well, I'll just put myself on the diet that they're eating, because it's basically restricting the calories because they can't eat very much. So rather than have the surgery, I will just restrict my own diet and lose the weight that way. No, It didn't work. I was eating what their doctor was telling them to eat, and it wasn't making a difference. So then I finally thought I will give carnivore diet a try. I'll commit to 90 days to really sticking with it and see if I notice a difference, because I was seeing all of the people with their success stories of losing a great amount of weight. So I went into this solely with the idea of losing weight, that I wanted to lose. If I'm honest, I want to lose about 100 pounds. And that's all I was focusing on, was sticking to carnivore diet and seeing the weight loss journey. But I have discovered so much more than just weight loss. I am, again, I can't tell you if I've lost any weight. I can't tell you if I've lost any inches. I can't even tell you that my clothes fit different because I wear dresses all the time. So I don't have like blue jeans being able to do them up easier or anything, because I don't wear those kind of clothes. But here is what I have found. Um, in Christmas of 2022, I woke up Christmas morning and both of my eardrums had ruptured. Made a trip to the emergency room, and there wasn't a lot they could do. But then I got a appointment with a specialist at the ENT, and they did hearing tests because I couldn't hear. I mean, it was like I was in a barrel because my eardrums had ruptured. I couldn't hear. So they did all the hearing tests, and it had nothing to do with my auditory nerve. It was solely fluid behind the eardrum that had then caused the eardrum to rupture. And in connection, they were looking at the tubes from my eardrum, just were inflamed and were not letting the fluid drain through out of my ears. So they gave me a nasal spray that was to dilate the the tube and everything to help with the drainage. So for over 2 years, I've been using a daily spray in order to help the ears drain. And I still have had days when it's been a little bit clogged and I couldn't hear really well. Um, I also, for more than 15 years, have been on pain medications for my arthritis. In addition to all my arthritis medications, I was taking pain pills about twice a day just to deal with the pain. So here's where I can tell you my difference that I'm seeing. I haven't had pain medicine in 3 weeks now. I haven't needed to. It was just a case of I would take it when I hurt, when I needed the medicine, and I haven't had pain, so I haven't needed the medicine. It's also been probably 2 weeks since I've used the nasal spray, because I noticed that I was no longer having any hearing issues. I can hear clearly. I can hear grandkids in the other room. I can hear conversations. I don't have to say, "What did you say?" or go into the room to see their face while they're talking to me. Um, so the inflammation in my body is down. I go to the doctor again on March 15th. We'll do blood work then, so I'll know for sure what my inflammatory markers are in my blood, but I can tell you already that I can feel the difference. I've not had any allergy issues because I haven't had the inflammation in my nose, or um, not being able to breathe. Except that I will tell you, I had one cheat day. I thought I have been so good, and I've been missing potatoes, and I've been missing um, sweets, and so I had one day that I had some potatoes with dinner, and I had a couple of the store bought sugar cookies, that are really soft with the icing on top. Those really aren't even my favorite, but they were there for my grandkids, and so I ate two of them. That night, I could feel the nasal passages kind of swelling, if that makes any sense to you. You know, like when you're getting ready to get stuffy, but it's not that you have any kind of drainage or anything there. It just feels stuffy inside your nose. One day, that night, I could not sleep. I tossed and turned all night long. Um, Going back to the beginning of starting with carnivore, prior to starting carnivore, I was having issues sleeping at night. I was getting up on average 4 or 5 times a night, having to go to the bathroom or just couldn't get comfortable. Within about 5 days of starting carnivore, I was noticing I was sleeping better. I was not getting up so many times. Well, that one cheat day, that night, it all came back. It was back to tossing and turning all night, getting up and down all night. Couldn't get comfortable. I watched more YouTube videos than anybody really should because I was awake. I wasn't able to get to sleep. Once I got back on it, focusing back on the diet and paying attention to what I was eating, I'm back to sleeping well again. So while I can't say whether or not I've lost the weight, I can say that I'm noticing a lot of other differences in quality of life. I'm um, I'm thrilled to not need the pain medicine, and I'm more active. I have more energy. I've been working on my garden, which that video will be coming up. I I'm getting more accomplished during the day. So I would even say my mood is better. Um, and I mean that's kind of, I don't know if that's the diet or if it's because I have more energy, or when you're looking at all of those things, which came first? Is it the diet or is it the energy? But I can say I'm not going to have any more cheat days because I have discovered that those foods make a difference. I have discovered that I pay for it. Um, I did have irritable bowel syndrome for many, many years. I'm trying to remember, my daughter is getting ready to be 34, and I know that I was having it before I had her. So I had IBS for at least 34 years. And in the past month, a little over a month, um, the only day that I've had an issue with it is the cheat day, whenever I ate the foods that triggered the inflammation, and obviously the inflammation is what aggravated the IBS. So, if you are dealing with any kind of an autoimmune disease, I really would encourage you to research the inflammation diets or the elimination diets. Carnivore was just the easiest route for me to go because I'm not having to keep track of which foods cause what, and um, I'm starting to research more now that I see the effect that the food that you eat does have on everyday behavior. So I would highly recommend you give it a shot, even if you don't need to lose weight, if you just want to lose prescriptions that you're having to take for pain or breathing or allergies or any of those. Check it out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will have another video up in the next day or two. Bye for now.